Your hashpa.
But discreetly.
Kumlen Ablat Gemara. We are Perik Meruba of Samach Gimel Amad Aleph. The first few blots of Perik Meruba is sort of belies what goes on beyond that. So basically, it's all pshat, trying to work out, being very pedantic, trying to work out from a pasuk. We started talking about a ganef. At first, we want to establish that a ganef pays double, and we also said that if a toyin tainas ganef, which is a shomer, somebody is minding something for somebody else, and he claims that it was stolen, which he's exonerated from. Or even we're talking about a shomer sacha, but he claimed that it was stolen by armed bandits, so therefore he would have been put. It turned out to be that he himself was a ganef. Not only he has to pay up, but he also has to pay double. So we want to establish that a ganef pays double, and so is the shayman. And once we establish that between today's Gemara and tomorrow's Gemara, then we start talking about all the laws of Geneva and Yeyush, abandoning hope and all that until the end of the Masechta. So yesterday we wrote down a pasuk. There's actually two psukim. One is about when you gave someone to watch something for you, and then one is about that it was taken away. So on the pasuk which said it was taken away, it says a cold var pesha, that anything that he was negligent on. Then the Torah, which is a generic term, an all-inclusive term, and then the Torah uses a bunch of descriptions: shoyer, chamoyer, a cow, an ox, a chamoyer, a donkey, a seh, sheep, a salma, and a dress. And then it says again, al kol aveda, any lost object that he says, whatever it is he swears, turns out to be that he's guilty, yishalem shnayim, he has to pay double. So we're learning from there a klal uprat klal, and we said that what we learn from there is that just like the prat is something which is not property, it has to be something mobile, not property, not avodim. You don't pay double if you stole property or your avodim, or a shtar, a loan contract, which is only a cause, which is not, it itself has no intrinsic value. It merely represents value. Yeah, represents value. Then we asked why we need each one, and we said each one we need because otherwise we would have limited even further. If we would only said on your show, we would have thought only things which go on the mizbeach. So that's to say, se. We would say okay, only things which are it has chamor. If it has chamor, we think only things that have not a mizbeach but has kedusha, for example, a b'choyer, it's born, firstborn. So then, and then why do you say se to include birds? Because birds are not mekabel tumah or anything else. Birds. And then we ask, okay, but maybe within birds itself, maybe it's only birds that have some connection with tumah. For example, a kosher bird, if it was an avela, a cock, it didn't shecht it, and you swallowed it, it's v'tamei abeis habliya, also your clothes. But a tamadiga bird is not v'tamei at all. So how do you know that's included? So we said that actually the word kol, a kol v'apesha, is more than just a klal prat. It is a ribui, and a ribui is much more inclusive, way beyond what the prat is. So that's what we're up to the Gemara. Right? We'll come back to that soon.
Can you learn them both?
It's a machlekes, but sometimes we use, even those who hold klal, sometimes we'll say, this word, this here is clearly indicated, falls on the rules of ribui miyah. A klal, prat, klal, very briefly, is the first, if it just said the klal, includes everything. If it would say the prat right after the klal, then it excludes everything. Ein bechlal elo mashav prat. Then if there's a second, what happens if there's just a prat and then a klal following let's say there's a very specific word, and then after that is a more inclusive word, prat or klal, it's marbe everything. So it comes out that the first klal is actually limiting. The second, if it would be just prat or klal, includes everything. So what is the first klal? What's the role of first klal? The role of first klal is to, one second. When it can't be marbe everything, let's limit it only to the prat. So then once the first klal is very limiting, the second klal then expands a little bit. No, let's be marbe, but not exactly the prat, similar to the prat. We had a machlekes and everyone has to be similar in one respect or in two respects, but it has to be similar to the prat. That's how a klal prat to klal works. A ribui, a miyat, and ribui is that a ribui and a miyat, be a ribui, that followed by miyat, we would say that it's a ribui, includes everything, but a miyat is coming to dampen that. Anything which is similar to the miyat. In other words, a ribui and miyat is exactly the same as a klal, prat to klal. And then the second ribui says, no, we're going to once again expand everything, but something is going to be excluded. That which is the furthest thing, or the opposite thing of the miyat. Yeah, so we can say that kol is a ribui. Even those who generally learn klal here, kol is ribui. Says the Gemara right in the middle of the page, first line, b'chol heicha the kosa kol riba. You tell me the word kol is a riba. Well, gabi ma'isa. By ma'isa, we had this whole discussion with the Gemara before. By ma'isa, the chesiv it says kol yet b'kodashile b'chal prat. You're telling me the word kol is different. That even those who believe in klal prat klal, but if you use the word kol, it's far beyond just an all-inclusive word. Kol means everything. That's like a riba. So you tell me every word says kol is riba. Let me ask you a question. We know that you have to bring your produce to Ma'aser Sheni to the Shalim, but it's a lot, so you can't really do it. So you change it into money. And then what do you do with that money when you come to your Shalim? What can you purchase with that money? So it says in the pasuk, you should take the money. Tanya says, "V'nosata hakesef." It says in the pasuk, you should take the money, b'chol asher tav nafsho, whatever you desire, right? And then the pasuk says, "Aboka b'tzayim b'yayin b'sheicher." It gives you very specific. First, that's of your heart's desire. Then it says limits to these four, very specific, and then it says again, everything you desire. So be using the word libakol. According to you, there should be a riba. You can buy almost everything, and yet the Braisa is going to learn like a cloud, prat a cloud. So bechol ashetam nafshcha is a cloud. A boker about shava yaim b'sheicha is a prat. Ubechol ashet tishol nafshcha is b'chol b'kol. Klal uprat uklal. You have to know. Look at a prat. It's only like the prat. Ma prat mefudish. Just like the prat is mefudish. Pri me pri. Just like the prat is mefudish. That what? It's a pri me pri. We already had before. What? Everything, all those four examples in the pasuk come from something else, including wine comes from a grape. So if everything here comes, or sheikha comes from the dates, everything here comes from something else. So just like these pratim are all pri me pri. And gedule karka, they come from the ground. Those not fish, for example. Fish doesn't come from the ground. I've called prima do the karka. No, so what do we see clear from here? It says the word bechol, and yet we're treating it as if it's kal pradakal. If you use as riba, then fish would be included, everything would be included, and you would exclude something else which is like very distant from all the pratim. So Gemara says the difference between kol and bechol. Bi is already within, so it's like limiting. So it sounds more like a cloud than a ribbon. Amri, where it says bikol, when it says in the pasuk bichol, klala, that's more like a cloud. It's okay, it's inclusive, but it's sort of limiting. Bi, but kol, when that pasuk over there it says cold vapesha, that's a ribbon. That's answer number one. The boy said another answer is like kol nami klalu. Nope. Kol sometimes is a klal. Kol is also a klal. So generally speaking, just like no different bichol or kol, it's always a klal. So how come by a kol vapesha you decided it's a ribui, right? You said it's a ribui, including birds that are that never become anything else. Kol dehocheribu. Here kol is an exception. Kol is an exception. Why? Mechdi ksiv mi kod klal product klal. The pasuk prior to this pasuk. This pasuk talks about already happened a pesha, and then you go you go ad elakim yobed vashneim, and then yashin elakim, and you pay yishal shnei l'reyu, and then the pasuk says it's called protocol. The pasuk right before that, or two pasuk before that, the chesiv says ki yitein ish el re'eyu, a person gives to his friend. Starts out in order. First somebody gave you something to watch, and then two pasuk later something happened to it, a mishap. And so the pasuk before says the same thing. It says there, a person gives to his friend, right, which is a klal. What do you give him? Anything you want. Then it says kesev kalim, which is a prat. And then it's a lishma to guard and to mind, anything again. Hadav kol. You have a klal prat klal. We already have the klal of prat klal. So why do you have to have another klal prat klal two psukim later? If you tell me what, that it's only come to klal prat klal and to limit it to a certain way, then nitu rachman lahani prat gabeher klal gabeher klal prat. Then put all these shoyer chamor and say and salma in that first pasuk where it says ki yitin isha reyu. Spell it out. Don't just say kesem kalim. Say if you yitin reyu. Sure, you already have a klal prat klal, and you want to limit this whole story to chaim shnayim misham later. You want to limit it to these four things. So say those four things there. Yeah, why have two separate psukim tell you klal prat klal? I'll call Vapesha Lomali. Why did it call Vapesha? Shma Menodi Buyuhu. This is not the same thing. This is a Ribi coming to add even things that you would not have included. For example, bird that does not generate tumor. If you follow cloud, Prata cloud, that would be excluded because it does not have that in common with the Pratim. And the Ribi is more expansive, so it includes that. So the Gemara asks, now that you tell me Kol is coming to be much more expansive. It's called Hyperlamli. If you learn klal prat klal, which means you're limiting it, it has to be similar to the prats. I know why you need 4 pratim. But if you tell me that's a ribu, you mean it's a ribu, which means that it basically includes everything. So what do I need this pratim for? I'll tell you why. Because even though it's ribu, the fact that you have these 4 pratims coming to exclude things. So the Gemara, you know what comes to me? It comes to me, you don't follow. Yeah. So the first pasuk talks about swearing, the second pasuk talks about paying. But I'll tell you why you need this pratim. Even though it's ribu miyat. You know why? Chad lemute karka. Because it's normally ribu miyat is marba everything. Because you have these pratim, it's not coming to include in klal prat klal. Each prat is coming to include similar to the prat. In the ribu miyat, in the ribu, when you have more than one prat, it's coming to exclude. Each one is coming to exclude something which is the opposite. Okay. So the first one is to b'mai karka. Which is similar to karka. It has no inherent value. And what about salma? What's that coming to mind? Something that has no simon. But something that has no simon, then you don't pay double. Taser says you don't understand. What does simon have to do with stealing and paying double? If you stole something, if it has no simon, you don't pay double. What's the difference? Yeah, so one need a riba for that. So Taser another shot. Yeah. And what about kol aveda? What do you need kol aveda? What's that coming to exclude? Gemara says, it's coming to exclude Rabchi Barabba. Rabchi Barabba Rabbi Yechanan Hatoyin Tainis Ganes Ba'aveda. When you find something, your status is that you're a shamer until you return the item to the owner. So what happens? We know that by a shamer, if you're telling Tainis Ganes, if you're watching somebody, you claim or stone, turn out to be that you yourself were the Ganes, you have to pay double. What about where it was foisted upon me to shmir? I never accepted to be a shomer, but I found something. The Torah says it's a mitzvah hashavas aveda. You have to return it. So while I'm holding on to it, the Torah made me into a shomer. And what happened in that case? I lied and I said it was stolen. If you hold a shomer aveda, shomer chinim. Remember, we had a machlekes Rabbi Yosef of a shomer. Rabbi says a shomer aveda shomer chinim, and Rabbi Yosef said a shomer aveda is a shomer sacha. The hanor that you have, that while I'm taking care of it, I don't have to give tzedakah. So Rabbi Yosef says, even according to Rabbi Yosef, if you tiny that was listed in the Zoom, it was an accident, it's not my fault. Turn out to be I'm the ganef. You would think I'm a shaman, I should be paying. Comes to exclude that what? I tell you tiny about Veda, Michelle. You do pay. I'm sorry. You comes to add a kol. What's that kol Veda? It comes to add something. What's it coming to add? It's coming to add that even a shaman Veda also is considered a shaman, and he has to pay double. But Michelle then it says I'll call Aveda. Every Aveda coming Al Aveda from an Aveda. To tell you that what 20 times gonna be also pay there as well. But not everyone agrees. We learned in another place. The guy says to the other person, I gave you something to mind for me. Where is it? Amalei, oh, but I lost it. He says he lost it. Majbiachani, swear to me that you lost it. But Amar, Amen. And he said, yep, Amen. I swear it was lost. Sorry, Aiden come along and say, what are you talking about? You lost it. You ate it. You're a ganef. Mishalim is a keren. You only pay keren. Why? Because he didn't tine his ganef here. His tine was that he lost it. When do you the shema pay double if he tine his ganef? He claimed it was stolen, turned out he was a ganef. It's limited only to that case. But if he tined that it was lost, even though he's a ganef, he just pays the principal. And obviously his credibility is shot to pieces. What about Hoida al Pias? We know what it's
Mugabe the Knas. The point of view, it's the same thing. Either way,
the pasuk. It's a custom. What happens if Hoida Pias? He said that there was lost, whatever it is, but then he came forward and he said, "Look, I swore false, but he had to swear. I swore false. I actually took it." Then what are you doing for sure? Is Mishalin, you pay the keren, the principal, and you pay the chemish, you pay a penalty of a fifth, and then also because you swore false, you bring a carbon usher. What happened to the following scenario? Heichen pigdoini, where's my pecadon? You said it was stolen. You said it was stolen. Maj biyachani, we can swear, but Amen, and Aiden say, yes, you stole it yourself. Mishal says, okay, we have to pay cable. That's called a Toyin Tainas Ganef. If he was made himself, is Mishal Ken B'Chaim Ashim. Tony Mia, what do we learn, however? But Toyin Tainas Ganef, It says over here that if your tiny is a tiny is ganef, the mishalim tashlume kefil. Aval betoyin tiny is also if it's clearly the Mishnah. What happens if you tiny that it was lost? You don't pay kefil. You don't pay kefil. That's number one. Number two, vafilu toyin tainis vafilu toyin tainis ganef. B'shvu ehudim misham. Another thing, if he tainis, if the shayim tainis that it was stolen, he doesn't pay, and then turn to be he was the ganef. You don't pay that double unless he swore that the guy said mashbeach and he says amen. Yes, that's how we had in a few days ago. Yes, but if let's say he didn't swear, he just said it was stolen from me, and Adam came forward before he swore anything and said, "Look, you stole it yourself." That's the din. Okay, so in other words, this din that a shamer pays, pays is double is only if he's toyin tainas ganef, only if he says it was stolen, and only if he swore that it was stolen, and then he was caught out. Only then. But if he said it was lost, for example, and you don't pay the double. Really, how do you know? How do we know that this is the din that we Hashem said it was stolen and it was swore that you pay double? Yeah. So about we learn it says the pasuk. Im he motze to motze. Said the pasuk if he found the geneva by him, Mishoy Chamor Chaim is Chamor Atzer Chaim Shnaim and pay double. So we're going to say that this pasuk yimatze to matze. Says the pasuk im yimatze. Sorry, the wrong pasuk. It says in the pasuk if a person gives somebody silver and kalim to watch for him, and then it was stolen from the person's house, and then the pasuk says im yimatze hagan if he paid double. We're going to dash in that im yimatze ganav. It's not that you found some third party who's the ganav. Im yimatze, if you found, it turned out to be that this very person was the ganav. Says the Gemara, talking about imi matzah ganav, but trying time ganav. We're talking about what the very person to be a ganav. Why? We're talking about 20 times ganav. That he would, even though you could read the pasuk, we're talking about the real ganav. We're talking about the shame himself turned out to be the ganav. Maybe it's the ganav who said that the shame is. And why would we think that the shame is any different than the ganav? Because it came into his hand legally. A normal ganav, he had no right to take the item at all, so it came into his hand illicitly.
Is this Gneva or Gazela?
No, Gneva.
The Shomer says it's mine.
It's Gneva because he lied, and it's not open. It's for catch. It's very discreet because he got it illegally, and now he's saying that it was stolen. So it's like very it's the most discreet kind of Gneva because nobody saw him stealing it. It says there's another pasuk later on where it says this pasuk says im yimatzeh ganef. The next pasuk says, but what happened im lo yimatzeh ganef? Then he goes to a bezdin and he swears that he wasn't shalech yodi b'melechus le'eyu, and so on. And we're going to soon see that second pasuk im lo yimatzeh ganef means that you didn't find the ganef, but it turned out to be that this guy himself is the ganef. So since the next pasuk is talking about toyin tainas ganef, so the pasuk prior to that is also talking about toyin tainas ganef. And the obvious question is why need two psukim telling you the same thing? The Gemara will discuss that in a minute. So therefore, this pasuk also is over toyin tainas ganef. Okay. How do you look at another brayse? Another brayse is a little bit different. It says there, im yimatzeh ganef is not talking about toyin tainas ganef. That pasuk, the first pasuk, which says that if you found, it was stolen, and if you found the ganef, you pay double. Says the second, but I said that's talking about a real ganef, a third party. If you're talking about a real ganef, a third party, kosh medaber. Real ganef ain't other but toyin tainas ganef. Talking about the shame himself. No, because since the following pasuk, if you don't find the ganef, it wasn't a third party; it was the shame itself. So obviously the pasuk before, why have two psukim reiterating, saying the same thing? It must be the first pasuk is talking about toyin tainas ganef. Sorry, he's a real ganef, and the second pasuk is talking about toyin tainas ganef. And the toyin tainas ganef, or murhamani mekayim ini matzeh ganef, the ganef also comes out, but talking about the ganef himself. So the machlekes of the two brises is the first pasuk talking about a ganef, the ganef, a third party, or talking about the shame itself. The problem is, if it's a shame itself, why do we have two psukim telling us the same thing? The Gemara will discuss that in a minute. And the entire way, the Gemara is going to go back and forth. So the one who holds that as two psukim, what do they learn? The one who holds as one pasuk, and so on, as we'll see. The Kuli Alam is, however, everyone agrees that im lo yimatzeh ganef, the second pasuk, that is no machlekes, but toyin tainas ganef. My mashma. The second pasuk is Im lo yimatzeh haganef. If you don't find the ganef, and then you go to the shayman, you bring it to the bezdin, and he has to swear Im lo shalach yodin lech zeir. How you know talking about toyin tayin ganef? That and turn a bit he himself is the ganef. How do you know? It says the pasuk like this: Im lo yim. This is how you dash the pasuk. Im lo yimatzeh kemash amar. If it turned out to be that the story that he told us is not how it unfolded, it turned out to be that he himself was the ganef. He said it was stolen from him. It turned out to be that he stole it from himself. He himself stole it. The pasuk says Shalom Shnayim. So we read the pasuk Im lo yimatzeh. Doesn't mean he didn't find the ganef. We didn't find that the story that he told us was correct. And how do you know the bishvur? The other thing we said was that a shayman, if it turned out to be that he's the ganef, does not pay double unless first he swore that it was stolen, and then it turned out to be that he was a liar. Nobody's for the shur, like you said, you mean. But if it wouldn't have sworn, you don't pay double. How do we know dafka with a shur? The time we learned, it says in the pasuk, in that second pasuk, it says, and what do? You bring him to the bezin. And what do you do in the bezin? Nikl balabais alakim is dafka in the bezin with a shvur. Maybe you just go to Bezin to make a determination in the halacha. Who says anything about swearing? Nemar says it's shlichus yad. And what does he have to do in the Bezin? Im lo yishalach yadeh. How does he say to the Bezin, I didn't use it for myself? Because the din is if he misused or abused the item, he becomes responsible regardless of what happened. Even if it was an accident, for the moment, yishalach yadeh. How do you know that's talking about the shul? Here it says shlichus yad. It says over here, and it says over Shlichus Yad L'mayla as well. It says by Shem Socher. It says Shvuas Hashem Tiyeh Ben Shneim. Right? It's Im Loy Sholach. They're talking about Shlichus Yad. It says clearly Shvuas Hashem Tiyeh Ben Shneim. In this pasuk, it says he goes to Elokim, and it says Im Loy Sholach Yodeh. So just like over there by Shem Socher, Shlichus Yad is with the Shvuas. Shvuas Hashem Tiyeh Ben Shneim. Over here also, when he goes to the Bezin and he says, I did not use it for my own personal use, it's with the shavua, coupled with a vow. He has to swear. Avkan has to swear. So therefore, okay. So now we know how the second pasuk is talking about toy and tainas ganef. Now the question is why we need two psukim. I understand why you need two psukim. One for a ganef himself, you pay double, and one for the toy. Okay. The one is that both psukim are talking about tainas ganef. Why in the world do you need two psukim? Amri says. Chad lemute tainis ovad. You know what you need? The second pasuk is which is extra to tell you only if he tainted that it was stolen. But if the shomer said it was lost, and then witness come and say, "What do you mean lost? It's sitting in a barn, or you ate it, whatever it is." So then we would have thought you paid double as well, because at the end of the day he's the ganef. The chiddush is it's not for what he did; it's for what he said. We're punishing him for what he said. He said it was a ganef, and turned to be that he was the ganef. We're going to punish him. But if he didn't say it, he just did it because it came into his possession legally. We're not going to charge him double. That's what we would. And how do you know that? Because it's twice the same pasuk. So the obvious question is: the other opinion says that Bob Sugma talking about toyin tainas. One pasuk about the ganef atzmai. One pasuk talking about toyin ganef. How does he know this din? There's nothing extra here. How does he know to exclude that if the shamer said it was lost, he doesn't pay double? Says the Gemara. You know how he knows that? It says meganef haganef. It says in the pasuk im yimatzei haganef. Why say the ganef? Because you say yimatzei ganef. By saying the ganef, it's stressing only if he tainted that it was stolen. The one who says that what this pasuk is not talking about the one pasuk is I'm sorry. The one who says I just missed it. Oh, the man both so therefore, and why do you need an extra pasuk to tell you that if it was lost, he doesn't pay double? What does he do with the word hagan? If the extra hay. He already learns out that if he said it was lost, you don't have to pay double from the pasuk itself. The very pasuk is extra. I don't need an extra letter. The meal 20 times over. Hagan, my daughter. What does he dash with the word hagan extra hay? What does he need it for? He needs it for another din of Rabbi Chiya bar Rabba named Rabbi Yechon, which is Rabbi Chiya bar Rabba, which is Rabbi Chiya bar Rabba is named Rabbi Yechon. Hatoyin tainas gana bepegodin. If somebody tainas a tainas gana by pekodin, he pays tashlumi kefir. What happens if he then went ahead and tovach hamacha? This very shomer We know that a ganef steals something, he pays double. If he then goes ahead and sells it, or then he shechts it, he pays 4 or 5 times. What about a shomer? A shomer said it was stolen, turned out to be he was a ganef, he paid double. If he then went ahead and sold it or shechted it, and before he was caught, does he pay 4 or 5 times? Maybe it's only limited to a real ganef. How do I know that even a shomer pays it? He says, Rabbi Yechon says, Mishalim tashlum Bava Kama Daf. You pay 4 or 5 times. And therefore, that's what the Haganav comes to tell you. The extra hey, tell you he's mamish like a Ganav. That this Shaiman is Haganav. This guy is a full Ganav. Whatever the din about a Ganav apply here as well. Says the Gemara, the one who says one is a Ganav and one is trained on Ganav. And where does he learn that if he tines that it was lost? He uses Haganav to teach you that. So how does he know that if he shechts it or and he sells it, he pays 4 or 5 times? He uses it. He uses it to exclude if the shamer would have tiny that is lost. So how does he know this other din of Rabbi Barabba that he pays if he shechted or sold it 4 or 5 times? I'm going to tell you hekeshu. It's a hekesh because and because it's written right next to each other, that this pasuk of Ganef. I'm saying one pasuk of Ganef and one of Ganef. The fact that the two psukim are in close proximity to each other tells you that the Toyin Tainas Ganef has the same dinim as a Ganef. I don't need Ha-Ganef to tell you that you pay 4 or 5 times. The moment we have a Hekish, and the Hekish, the fact two psukim are next to each other, and the fact that by a Ganef, if he stole it and then sold it, you pay 4 or 5 times, the same thing applies to a Toyin Tainas Ganef from the Hekish. The aim is Shivan Halakesha. And don't come along and ask me a question, because you could ask a very strong question. 1 second. You want to compare it to a Ganef. A Ganef pays as soon as he stole it. A Toyin Tainas Ganef only pays when he swore. If he wouldn't have sworn, even though he stole it and everything else, you don't pay double. So it's very different. How can you make a hectic between the two and say, oh, but it's exactly like over there, you pay 4 or 5 times. Here, you pay 4 times. I can demonstrate to you it's very different. Here you have to swear. There you don't have to swear. A Mashivin ala Hekish. You can't ask questions on a Hekish. Once the Torah puts two psukim together, Azay is this. Can't ask any questions. Okay, the Gemara continues. It's fascinating how the Gemara works its way through the whole thing. It doesn't let go. Yeah, but doesn't let go. According to one, it says one is a Ganef, and this is called a Pshat Gemara. Pure Pshat, nothing there. The one that says one is a Ganef, and one is a Toyin Tainas Ganef. That's a second Braisa Shat. Okay, everything makes sense. The one who says that they're both talking about Toyin Tainas Ganef, I know Ganef pays double. The only place where it says double is in this pasuk here, Chaim Shnayim Yishalom. But if you're telling me that both of these psukim are talking about Toyin Tainas Ganef, which is the first brisa, they're talking about a shamer who claims it was stolen. How do you know that a real Ganef pays double? Now, obviously, you're going to say it's a Kal V'Chayra. Maduch, a guy who got the item legally. Yet if he said it was stolen, and he turned out he was the guy who got to pay double. Imagine if a guy breaks into your house and pays, surely he pays double. But that's not so simple. You tell me, let's look at oh, but we have a rule we said before. And so what? What do we know about Toyin Tainas Ganef? When does he pay double? Only if he swore that it was stolen by somebody else. Right? So maybe a regular Ganef also. Maybe you don't pay double unless he swears, I didn't do it. Sorry? Exactly. But with a shvua. Maybe also need a shvua. Where it says, you're right. Nafkale, you know why we know that? You know how we know a Ganef pays double? We know a Ganef, for a different pasuk altogether. With a pasuk that talks about a Ganef himself, the Torah of Chizkiah. And you have to remember the Torah of Chizkiah because we come back to it tomorrow. But the Torah of Chizkiah says, Yoimar, the pasuk says the pasuk, Im hi motzei ti motzei. If you found in his hand the Geneva. He found the Geneva, and then it says Shorach Hamor Atzeh Chaim Shnayim Mishal. So he says, Torah Chizkiah Yomer, it says Shor Geneva. Let it just say, it says in the pasuk, he must have Geneva, Mishor Ad Chamor Atzeh, all these details. It could have just said Shor and then Geneva. And if it says Shor and Geneva, it's a prat followed by a klal. And what's it then? We have a prat and a klal. You marry everything. It's not like a cloud prat or cloud. You only marbe things which are similar to the prat. But if you have a prat and then a cloud, it's like a riba mid riba. You marbe everything except that which is the opposite of the prat. So l'chaydi, you would know. So why does it have to go through all the specifics? The thing is you pay double always anyway. So it should just say shoy and then geneva. More we'll talk about in the pasuk. Actually, it says geneva first. before it says shoy. And the Gemara will say maybe it means the Torah should have written the other way around, shoy gneva, and that's it. The hakol b'chlal, and everything would have been included. It must be a problem. So and he continues. And we're going to see from here, eventually we learn that a ganit pays double. Because if we would have said what? Prat to klal, Yisrael would have said, Maha prat mefurish. El Maha prat mefurish koragam mizbeach. If it says shoyd, what do we know about a shoyd? A shoyd is as a carbon, within the animal world, it's a kosher carbon, and within the kosher animal world, it can be brought in mizbeach. Av kol koragam mizbeach. Anything which can be brought in mizbeach. So what can include? It says shoy. What else? Obviously a sheep. Seh. So why did the Torah say seh? It says the pasuk shoy chamoy at seh. Chayim shnayim mishal. If shoy already tells you anything which is brought to mizbeach, similar to mizbeach, so why did it, which includes seh? So why did the Torah spell it seh? Obviously teach you something more, which is not seh. What did you come and include? How they say Amr? Say already we know. The fact that it says Shoy, we know to include Seh, because Shoy is Karul Gab Mizbech. Why did it say Seh? Hamani Mekayim, what do I need it for? Geneva, the rabbi is called Dover. Geneva comes to include what? Other things. So if so, to include everything else. So to include what? The things that the Torah specifies. Yoimus, let it say Shoy, Seh, Geneva, V'Haka B'Chlal. Why do I need also in the pasuk just say chamoy and chaim? The ilu kachi and I would have said maha prat. Okay, shoyd and seh between the two pratim. Shoyd is something brought in mizbeach, and seh we said to include other living animals. I would say no, only davar hakodesh b'chayda. Not only things that brought in mizbeach, but also things that are b'chayr. What's a b'chayr and not brought in mizbeach? Chamoy. I've called davar hakodesh b'chayda. Ma yesh lach lavi. What does that include? A chamoy. So therefore, what's it coming to include? A chamoy. Then you ask, so why is it to spell a chamoy then? So why is it the pasuk say the word chamoy? We don't need it. We already know that from Seh. Had a chamoy amor. Chamoy already know already. Hamani mekayin geneva. The rabbi is called Dover, coming to add more. Geneva the cloud, they're coming to add more. Okay, add everything. Called Dover, no matter what you steal, you pay double. Says the Gemara. So yem is showed chamoy Seh the geneva, the hakob cloud. And everything included. Why do you need chayim? What are you chayim for? You already have. You have the pratim, then you have the klal that marba everything, because the gneva is written at the end. Prat klal marba everything. And ilukachis, I would have said maha prat mefudish balachayim. It's for a living animal. I've called balachayim. Maybe only living things you pay double. Ma yesh lach lahavi. So what else can we bring? Shar balachayim. Other living animals, not the mizbeach, not a b'chor, anything else that's alive is included. So why do you have to say the Torah Chaim? We're already concluding alive from the fact that it says Shoy Chamoy and Geneva. Hari Chaim Amor. Haman Mekan Geneva. So what's Geneva coming to add? If Geneva is coming to add Chaim, we know the word Chaim. The Rabbi is called Dover to include everything, even things which are not alive. So we know from here that a ganif, when you matzah to matzah, we're talking about it says in Pasuk, even you matzah to matzah Hagneva. B'yodeh Hagneva, Meshoyer, it says in Pasuk, Meshoyer, at Chamoy, Shashoyer, Chamoy, Atzeh, Chaim, Shnayim, Mishal. So that's talking about a ganif. And we learn from here that you pay people for everything. And we'll come back now. Tomorrow's Gemara will be, again, very pedantic, going through this Talmud Chizkiah, and we need all these truths as well. On Shabbos, we start